Hello everyone, I am sure by now you know the name, and today I'm going to be doing a 1 to the power of 4 guide. So if you aren't here to learn about him, I'll just show you the door. Go ahead and take your leave. Okay, I'm just going to be calling him 1x4 for the whole video because it's easier on me. However you want to call him is up to you. I don't care. 1x4 has a difficulty of 5 out of 5 stars, which makes him the hardest killer to understand. He has 1100 health, the third highest out of any killer in the whole game, and 26.5 sprint speed, which is 2.5 studs faster than the survivors, making him the slowest killer in the game currently. 1x4 has one passive, Parasitic. Most attacks that 1x4 send out himself will inflict the glitched and the poison status effect to some degree. Glitch inflicts a glitchy screen effect that increases in effect with every stack. This effect can be disabled by enabling epilepsy mode in the accessibility tab in settings. It also increases damage directly taken by the killer by plus 33% per stack. This effect caps at 3 stacks. Poison deals non-lethal passive damage to the survivors. Each stack increases damage and or how fast you take damage. This status effect caps at 5 stacks. 1x4's base attack, Slash, deals 20 damage to a single target and has a 1.75 second cooldown. This attack has a slow windup, but to compensate, the hitbox is decently sized and has moderate active frames. It also applies Glitched 1 and Poison 1 for 5 seconds, so keep those things in mind. 1x4's first ability is Mass Infection. This ability has a 14-second cooldown. After around 2 seconds of a windup, 1x4 performs a horizontal split, launching forward a projectile. This projectile deals 15 damage to the survivors and applies Glitched 1 and Poison 3 for 7 seconds. 1x4 can also deal extra damage to the survivors if they hit by the slash of this attack, dealing 20 damage and applying Glitched 4 for 6 seconds and Poison 5 for 3 seconds. If both the projectile and his blade hit a player, 55 damage is dealt and Glitched 3 and Poison 5 is applied for 7 seconds. This ability can be heard by all survivors within a 400 stud radius. 1x4's second ability is Entanglement. This ability has an 18-second cooldown. After a very short windup, 1x4 throws both of his swords at a speed of 125 studs per second. These swords go through walls and players. If they hit a survivor, or Builderman building, then 1x4 receives speed 2 for 3 seconds, and the hit survivors have their aura revealed for 2 seconds. They also gain Helpless 1 for 10 seconds, cannot move, and must do a minigame. The minigame requires the survivors to click and remove 5 pop-ups on their screen. Once the minigame is complete, the survivors are free to move and receive speed 1 for 1.25 seconds. Both Mass Infection and Entanglement cannot be aimed vertically. One x4's third ability is Unstable Eye. This ability has a 25-second cooldown. 1x4 reaches for his red eye and tears it, revealing the auras of all living players and receiving both Speed 1 and Blindness 3 for 8 seconds. This ability can be heard by all living survivors within a 400 stud radius. 1x4's fourth ability is Rejuvenate The Rotten. This ability has a 200-second cooldown, which, for those who can't do math, that is 3 minutes and 20 seconds. This ability starts with 0 charges and gains a charge after killing a survivor. Once the ability is used, charges are set back to 0 and another survivor must be killed to replenish the charge. 1x4 plunges his swords into himself and then pulls them out, resurrecting any dead players as zombies. The zombies patrol the map aimlessly and target players who are within 30 studs of them. If a survivor gets 50 studs away from the zombie, they lose focus and return to aimlessly wandering the map. These zombies have 20 health, meaning they can be killed, and deal 14 damage to players. With the basic explanation of 1x4's main abilities out of the way, let's get into some ways to use them. Is a killer full of potential, as, in the words of the main balancer, you basically have infinite range with map-wide pressure if your aim and predictions are good enough. A good 1x4 player will wipe even the best survivors if they know what they are doing. However, he is very map dependent as any form of elevation counters him since 1x4 cannot aim his projectiles vertically. Bad games as 1x4 show much harder compared to any other killer. So remember this before we go in. Out of all of the killers, 1x4 is the most skill dependent. So while we talk about these abilities, keep in mind the way that you play will affect a lot of the results you see in game. Let's start by talking about 1x4's movement speed. 1x4 is just barely faster than the survivors, meaning that in most cases, you will rarely catch up to the survivor unless you manage your stamina perfectly. This reinforces the range playstyle that 1x4 has to play, as this will be his primary cause for inflicting damage. So let me generalize this information. As with any form of ranged combat, knowledge is power. Understanding the map layout, how your opponents play, and what your abilities are capable of is what defines your power and excellence with any character, but especially so on 1x4. So I'll repeat this so you understand. Understand your opponent, understand your map, and understand your abilities. Firstly, you need to work on your aim. Learn the hitbox of your abilities and how fast they travel so you know where and when they will land. Mass Infection is much slower than Entanglement, making close range use of this ability preferred, while Entanglement travels much faster, making sniping with this ability easier compared to Mass Infection. And that thing... Oh, I thought he would keep moving. Oh, what? Yo, that's an insane snipe. Secondly, you need to learn the layouts of the maps. If you know where your opponent is going to run when they break line of sight, it'll help your predictions far more. Last but not least, learn your opponent. The way your enemy moves and positions themselves is very important. You need to have an understanding of your target before they can get an understanding on you. Remember these three things and never forget them. Entanglement is the saving grace for 1x4. But don't make the mistake of using this ability when you're low on stamina. If you don't have enough stamina to follow up after hitting this move, then it's a waste of the ability. Instead, aim to use his ability at the start of chase or when you have greater than 50 stamina to leave room for follow-ups. Don't think you only need to hit the survivor you are chasing with Entanglement for it to serve any use to you. Hit players who are unaware and stationary to catch up to people that you are pursuing. Remember that you can't aim your projectiles vertically. Use elevation to land hits on people who aren't expecting them. Here are some examples. And now I'll talk about Rejuvenate the Rotten. This ability resurrects all dead players, as most of you know. So aim to save this ability for when you have a few kills in the lobby to make the most out of its use. Usually when you've killed at least 30% of the lobby. Do not forget that all dead players get resurrected, even if they were already resurrected. So let's say you kill 3 players and then use the ability. If you kill another 3 players and have enough time to reuse the ability again, you would revive 9 zombies in total. Don't be scared to use this ability though. Zombies are great at passive deterrence, and they help with crowd control a ton. They keep survivors from saving their stamina, so if they can't kill the zombies, they're always on the move, which aids in your chances of winning a round by a lot. 1x4 is a very high skill killer who dominates when played strategically, but suffers greatly if his kit is underutilized or misused. His reliance on precision and prediction makes him a prominent threat in the hands of a player who understands that about him. I'll now be leaving you guys with some gameplay of 1x4. I hope you have enjoyed this guide, and I will see you some other time. Take care.